My wife faked her pregnancy to convince me to buy her a $150, $0 house, then disappeared with our joint savings of $200, $0, and is now fighting me in court over the property I discovered she secretly sold behind my back. I never thought I'd end up here, but life has a twisted sense of humor. It all started with what I thought was a happy marriage too. We'd been together for 8 years, married for 5. She was beautiful, ambitious, and I honestly thought we had something solid. I worked hard as a project manager at a construction company and stayed at home taking care of our 2 kids. Things weren't perfect, but I believed we had a good thing going, until the day I found out how badly I'd been played. It began with small things: missed calls, late nights, her phone constantly glued to her hand. I brushed it off at first, telling myself she was just busy or talking to friends. But then I noticed her behavior changing. She started dressing up more, acting secretive when I was around, and I caught her lying about where she was going. One night, I was supposed to meet her for dinner, but she suddenly canceled, saying she was too tired and that she'd be home early the next day. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured she was just stressed. But then I saw her phone light up with a message from a number saved as Bobby with a heart emoji. I looked over her shoulder and saw a text that made my stomach drop. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Love you." That was the moment I knew something was wrong. I felt a cold sweat and my mind raced. I started paying closer attention. Over the next few weeks, I noticed her disappearing at odd hours, always claiming she was running errands or visiting her sister. But her stories didn't add up. I found her hiding her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, and her excuses about work stress sounded flimsy. Then one day, I decided to do some digging. I installed a tracking app on her phone, something I'd never thought I'd do, but I was desperate. Turns out was meeting someone named Chris at a hotel downtown every other night. I also found out she'd been secretly texting her friend about a fake pregnancy. She told me she was pregnant to get me to buy her a $150, $0 house, something I'd already started to suspect but didn't want to believe. The house, by the way, was a huge mistake. I was proud of being able to give her everything she wanted, but now I saw how she manipulated me, using her fake pregnancy as a way to get what she wanted. When I confronted her with the evidence, her face turned stone cold. She everything at first, calling me paranoid, accusing me of stalking her, and saying I was jealous and insecure. She even had the nerve to say that I was overreacting and that I was imagining things. But I was. I knew the truth was staring me right in the face. She'd been lying about her pregnancy, lying about her whereabouts, and I was angry, so angry I could barely breathe. How could she do this to me, to our family, to our kids? I felt betrayed, humiliated, and stupid for trusting her so blindly. The worst part was realizing she'd been planning her next move all along. She'd secretly sold the house I bought for her. Our joint savings, which I had worked hard to accumulate, was gone. She'd taken almost $200, $0, and disappeared. I found out she'd been funneling money into some secret account, and now she's in court fighting me over the property I discovered she sold behind my back. She's acting like she's the victim, like I'm the one who's crazy. But I see her for what she is: a liar, a manipulator, someone who used me and then turned around to take everything I had. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel anymore. Part of me is furious, at her, at myself for not seeing it sooner, but another part just feels numb. It's like my whole world has shattered. The house, my trust, my sense of security, all gone. I keep asking myself how I let it get this far, how I didn't see the signs, how I was so blind to her lies. But I guess I was just too in love, too trusting. Now I'm left with nothing but the wreckage of a marriage that I thought was unbreakable. And I have no idea what's next. After I found out about the affair, the house, and the money, everything changed. I remember sitting in my garage that night, staring at my phone, trying to process what I'd uncovered. The betrayal hit hard, but what hurt even more was realizing how deep her lies went. Had been faking her pregnancy for months, using it as a tool to manipulate me into buying her that ridiculous house. She told me she was so tired, nauseous, and scared, all of it fake. I still can't believe she thought she could pull that off without me catching on. That night I confronted her again. I told her I knew everything, her affair, her lies, the fake pregnancy. Her reaction was classic. She played the victim, crying, saying I was overreacting, that I was controlling, that I didn't understand how hard it was for her. She said she did it all because she felt trapped, that she needed a fresh start, and that I was just too blind to see her suffering. Honestly, I felt like I was listening to a script she'd rehearsed. This wasn't some honest mistake. This was calculated deception, and I was furious. I demanded she tell me where the money was, how she managed to sell the house behind my back. She shrugged, lying through her teeth, saying she needed to do what was best for her, that she deserved to have her own life, and that I was just a control freak. She claimed she'd used the money to start a new life, but I knew better. I had access to the bank statements she'd missed deleting, and I saw she'd transferred hundreds of thousands into an offshore account. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. The emotional toll was almost unbearable. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry, so angry I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying all the moments where she'd lied, the times I'd trusted her and she'd turned around and stabbed me in the back. I felt a deep sadness too, because I genuinely loved her, or at least I thought I did. But now I saw her for who she really was, a liar, a manipulator, someone who'd used me and our family for her own gain. I felt like I'd been blindfolded for years, and now the truth was blinding me. That's when I started thinking about my options. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this. I couldn't let her walk away with everything, our savings, the house, my peace of mind. I contacted a lawyer the next day, and I started digging into the legal side of things. I found out she had sold the house without telling me, and I was furious. The property was in both our names, but she'd transferred the title secretly. That was fraud, I was told, and I had every right to fight for my share. I also learned she'd been lying about her pregnancy to get me to buy the house, which could be a huge legal point. Meanwhile, kept spinning her stories. She told her friends I was abusive, controlling, jealous, anything to make herself look like the victim. She even accused me of harassing her when I started asking questions about her secret accounts and the sale of the house. It was a relentless barrage of lies to cover her tracks. I felt sick every time I saw her lying with that fake smile, pretending to be innocent. But I wasn't going to be fooled anymore. I was done playing her game. I started collecting evidence, texts, bank statements, emails. I wanted everything documented. I knew I'd need it in court. I also hired a private investigator to track her whereabouts, just in case she tried to disappear completely. The more I found out, the angrier I got. She had been planning this for months, maybe longer, secretly siphoning off money, selling the house, lying about her pregnancy, all while pretending to be the perfect wife. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she betray me and the kids so completely? It's like I was living with a stranger all these years. In the midst of all this chaos, I started feeling a strange sense of clarity. I realized I'd been holding on to this idea of who she was, this loving wife, the mother of my children, while behind the scenes, she was a different person entirely. Someone willing to fake a pregnancy, sell a house, steal our savings, and then fight me in court to keep what she took. It's surreal. I never thought I'd be in this situation, and honestly, I don't know how I'm going to come out of it. But one thing, for sure, I'm not going to let her get away with it. Not without a fight. The legal process has been a nightmare, honestly. I never imagined dealing with something like this. Fighting over a house I thought was ours, fighting to prove she lied, to get back what's rightfully mine. The court hearings are a blur of legal jargon and her constant attempts to spin her version of events. She's good at lying, really good, and her lawyer is doing everything possible to paint me as the controlling, jealous husband who just can't handle her independence. But I have enough evidence now to counter every excuse she throws my way. The day I found out she secretly sold the house behind my back was the day everything changed. I had gone to check the property records just to get a sense of what was happening, and I saw the transfer in her name, done without my knowledge or approval. That's when I realized she'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. I confronted her about it, and she just shrugged, acting like it was no big deal. Said she didn't need my permission because she was the one who made all the decisions. That was a lie. The house was in both our names and she transferred the deed illegally. I couldn't believe how far she'd gone to wipe me out. I hired a lawyer immediately, and we filed for an emergency injunction to freeze her assets and prevent her from selling or transferring any more property. The judge granted it, but's lawyer fought back hard, claiming I was trying to intimidate her and that I had no right to interfere. It's infuriating. She's trying to make me look like the bad guy, but I have the receipts, texts where she admits she's been lying, bank statements showing the transfers, and the court documents proving she sold the house without my consent. I want to make sure she doesn't get away with this, no matter what. Meanwhile, I've been trying to keep my composure for the sake of the kids. They're young, 7 and 9, and I don't want to scare them with all this mess. But it's hard. Sometimes I catch myself breaking down in private, thinking about how she used to be the woman I loved. How she used to say she wanted a family, a future. And now she's fighting me in court, trying to take everything I worked for, all because she's chasing some fantasy of independence or whatever twisted idea she's got in her head. I keep asking myself, how did it all go so wrong? She's still lying about the pregnancy, too. She claims she's still pregnant, even though I know she faked it. I saw the ultrasound pictures she showed her friends, obviously fake, just a photo she found online. Her excuse for that: she said she needed the pregnancy to keep me around, to make me feel guilty and stay in her life. That was the moment I realized how manipulative she could be. She's always been good at twisting things, making herself the victim and me the villain. I've also started talking to a counselor just to keep my head straight through all this. It's hard not to get consumed by anger and betrayal. I keep replaying everything in my mind: how she lied, how she manipulated, how she stole from us. It's like she's a different person, and I can't recognize the woman I married anymore. But I'm trying to stay focused. I want to win this fight, not just for the money, but to restore some sense of justice. It's not just about the house or the finances. It's about standing up for myself after being so thoroughly betrayed. One of the strangest things is how she's trying to paint herself as the victim in all this, saying I'm the one controlling her, that I'm abusive, that I threatened her when I simply asked questions about the money and the sale of the house. It's disgusting. She's twisting everything to make herself look innocent, but I know the truth. I have the evidence. I know she's the one who lied, cheated, and stole. I've learned that people can be really good at hiding who they are until they're cornered, and she's no exception. The more I dig, the more I see how deep her deception runs. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't let her destroy me completely. I've got the legal support, the evidence, and the determination to fight back. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about reclaiming my dignity and making sure she can't get away with what she did. It's a long road ahead, but I'm not giving up. Not yet. The court hearings have become a constant source of stress, but I guess I should have expected that. Lawyer is relentless, throwing every possible lie and distraction to muddy the waters. She's claiming I'm an overbearing husband who kept her captive, that I was abusive and controlling, completely fabricating stories to make herself look innocent. Meanwhile, I have the proof that she's the one who manipulated the situation from the beginning. But convincing the court of her lies isn't easy when she's so good at spinning her narrative. One of the most shocking moments was when she brought her own witnesses, people who that I was always aggressive and that she feared for her safety. It was a blatant attempt to sway the court, but I had my own witnesses ready. Friends and neighbors who saw how she lied, how she manipulated every situation to her advantage. I also presented the digital trail, texts, emails, bank statements, that proved her deception. Still, it's a game of patience, and every day I feel the weight of the fight pressing down on me. Meanwhile, she's been trying to turn the kids against me. She's telling them I don't love them, that I'm dangerous, that I want to take everything away from her. It's heartbreaking. I don't know how she can be so cold, so willing to poison their minds. I try to stay calm when I talk to them, to remind them that I love them and that I'm fighting to make everything right. But deep down, I worry about how this is affecting them. They're too young to fully understand what's happening, but they sense the tension, the anger. I hate seeing them caught in this mess. And then there's the money. The court's been reviewing the financial documents and it's clear sold the house without telling me. She transferred the title to her name, took the proceeds, and vanished. I discovered she'd opened multiple offshore accounts, funneling the money out of the country. She's been living a double life, pretending everything was fine while secretly planning her escape. The amount she took, almost $200, $0, was supposed to be our savings for the kids' education, for our future. Now it's gone and she's trying to hide it all behind her lies. I can't help but feel betrayed at every turn. I put trust in her, in what we built together, and she used that trust to destroy everything. She always told me she wanted a simple life, but behind the scenes she was scheming, lying, cheating. I keep asking myself, how did I not see this coming? How did I miss all the signs? The truth is, I was blinded by love and now I'm paying the price. The most recent court session was a nightmare. This lawyer presented a false narrative that I was emotionally abusive, claiming I had lost control during arguments. The judge looked skeptical, but I knew I needed more proof. I submitted recordings of her admitting to her lies, copies of the transfers, and testimonies from people who knew her true character. I also brought in a forensic accountant to trace the money. It's frustrating because I know she's trying to manipulate the system, but I'm doing everything I can to fight back. The hardest part is feeling powerless. I've always been someone who believed in honesty and integrity, and now I'm caught in a legal war that feels like it's designed to drain me emotionally and financially. I've never been so exhausted in my life. I think about how we started, how I thought we had a future, and now I'm here trying to undo all the damage she caused. It's like the whole foundation of my life has been shaken, and I have no idea what comes next. But I refuse to give up. I'm holding on to what's left of my sanity, my dignity, and my hope for justice. I know I won't get everything back. She's managed to hide a lot of her tracks, but I'm determined to make her pay for what she's done. I want her to understand that you can't just lie and cheat your way through life without consequences. I want her to be held accountable, not just for the money she stole, but for the way she's broken our family apart. I've learned that trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. But I still believe in doing what's right, even if it feels like fighting a losing battle sometimes. The days after the last court session have been a blur. I wake up every morning with a knot in my stomach, knowing that is still out there, trying to hold onto her lies and manipulate the system. The court orders are coming in, and I'm constantly reviewing new documents, trying to stay one step ahead of her lawyer's tactics. She's filing motions to dismiss, claiming I'm harassing her, trying to discredit everything I present. But I've learned to stay calm, stick to the facts, and keep my head clear. That's what's got me this far. One of the most disturbing things I found recently was her attempt to claim that I was the one who secretly sold the house. It's a complete fabrication. I have proof that she transferred the deed illegally, without my knowledge or consent. I even hired a forensic real estate expert to testify that the transaction was fraudulent. It's maddening to see how she's trying to rewrite history, make herself look innocent, and pin all the blame on me. But I know better. I have the evidence. Meanwhile, her attempts to manipulate the kids are escalating. She's telling them I'm a bad person, that I'm trying to take everything away from her and them. I've caught her whispering to them, trying to sway their opinions, planting seeds of doubt. It's heartbreaking. I try to be there for them, to tell them I love them and that I'm fighting for what's right. But I can see the confusion and fear in their eyes. It's a constant battle to keep my composure around them, knowing that their world is being turned upside down by her lies. The financial mess she left behind is worse than I thought. The offshore accounts she opened are a maze. I've hired a team of investigators and forensic accountants to track every dollar. They've uncovered more transfers, money she moved out of the country in the dead of night. It's like she planned all this from the start, setting herself up to disappear with our savings. I feel so betrayed that she could do this to us, to her own family. All those years of working hard, saving for the future, and she just took it all and ran. I keep asking myself how I missed the signs, how I was so blind to her true nature. The legal battle has taken a toll on me physically and emotionally. I'm exhausted, but I can't stop. I keep pushing forward, knowing that if I don't fight for what's right, she'll get away with everything. I've become obsessed with proving her guilt, with making sure she's held accountable. I've spent countless nights poring over documents, making calls, preparing my testimony. It's draining, but I know I can't give up. I've learned that the truth is on my side and I have to be relentless. Her latest move was to file a counterclaim accusing me of emotional abuse and saying I've been trying to control her. It's absurd. I never laid a hand on her, never raised my voice. All I did was ask questions, demand answers about the money, the house, the lies. She's trying to turn the tables, but I have witnesses and evidence that show she's the one who manipulated everything. I've realized that her goal isn't just to keep the money or the house, it's to destroy my reputation and take everything I hold dear. In the quiet moments when I'm alone, I think about everything that's happened. About how I trusted her, how I believed in our marriage, and how she betrayed that trust. It's a bitter pill to swallow. I've learned that people can hide who they really are, and sometimes, the ones closest to us are the ones capable of the worst betrayal. But I also know I can't let her win. I have to keep fighting, not just for the money or the house, but for my dignity and my future. I want her to understand that actions have consequences, and she can't just lie her way out of everything. I don't know what the final outcome will be, but I do know I won't stop until I get some semblance of justice. This fight has changed me. I'm more cautious, more skeptical, but also more determined. I've learned that sometimes you have to fight dirty to protect what's yours. And I've realized that no matter how much someone manipulates or lies, the truth will eventually come out. I just hope it's not too late to rebuild what's broken, because right now, everything feels shattered beyond repair. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize I've been through hell and back. The legal battles, the betrayal, the loss of trust, and the constant feeling of being played for a fool have all taken a toll on me. But amid all that, I've learned some hard truths about people and about myself. I've learned that sometimes, the person you love the most can turn out to be the biggest liar, and that trusting blindly can cost you everything you've worked for. I've also learned that revenge isn't always about getting even. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it feels like the world is against you. In the end, I managed to get a court order to freeze her assets and have the house returned to the estate, which was a small victory. It's not perfect. She's still out there, trying to hide and fight every step of the way, but I feel like I've reclaimed some control. The court is still reviewing the full extent of her deception, and I've got a good chance of getting her held accountable for her lies, her theft, and her manipulation. But the biggest lesson I take away from all of this is that you have to be careful who you trust, and you have to fight for yourself when someone else tries to tear you down. Looking back, I see how naive I was, thinking that love and honesty could conquer everything. But now I understand that sometimes love isn't enough, especially when it's exploited. I've become more guarded, more cautious about who I let into my life, but I haven't lost faith entirely. I still believe in justice, in doing what's right, and in rebuilding myself after this mess. I know I'll never forget what happened, but I also know I'll come out stronger on the other side. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, here's what I'd say. Trust your instincts and don't ignore the signs of deception. Document everything, texts, bank statements, conversations, because you never know what might be useful later. And don't be afraid to fight for what's yours. It's going to be tough, and you'll want to give up more times than you can count, but standing up for yourself is the only way to come out of this with some dignity intact. Remember, the truth has a way of surfacing eventually, and justice might take time, but it's worth fighting for. As for me, I'm taking it one day at a time. I've started focusing on rebuilding my life, trying to reconnect with friends, be there for my kids, and figure out what comes next. I know the scars will stay for a while, but I also know I'll heal. The betrayal was painful, but it taught me resilience. I'll never let someone manipulate or control me again. I'll be more cautious, more aware, and more determined to protect what's mine. So that's my story. It's raw, it's real, and it's messy. But it's also a testament to the fact that even in the darkest moments, you can find a way to stand up, fight back, and come out stronger. I hope someone out there learns from my experience and finds the strength to face their own battles. Because in the end, no matter what happens, you've got to believe that truth and justice will win, eventually.